Hey guys, welcome back to the Pulling Girls podcast. Today on episode 185, we're talking about taking care of your bottom after you have a baby. Let's untangle it. Hi, I'm Hillary Erickson, the curly head behind the Pulling Girls podcast, Pregnancy and Parenting Untangled. There's no right answer for every family, but on this show, we hope to give you some ideas to make life simpler at your house. Life's tangled, just like my hair. All right, I'm super excited for today's guest, which I met on the Tickety Talk. She is the mama behind Project Mama Bear, and she is a birth consultant. I want to introduce today's guest, Ashley Pipp. Do you feel prepared for your delivery? In just 3 short hours, you can be prepared for the confident, collaborative delivery you want. You'll know what to expect and how to talk with your healthcare team, and there are no boring lessons in this class. I'll use humor, stories from my 20 years in the delivery room to engage both of you. I love how Alyssa told me that she found herself laughing at things that used to sound scary. Most of all, you guys are going to be on the same page from bump to bassinet. Join the online prenatal class for couples today. You can save 15% with coupon code UNTANGLED. You can find the link in the show notes. Hey, Ashley, welcome to the Pulling Girls podcast.
Hi, Hillary.
We are talking about, it's all bathroom talk today on this podcast. You guys are so lucky.
Something we all have in common, right? Everybody's got to go.
Yeah, I have to say, so after I had my first baby, like I had done it in nursing school. I knew that you lined up the tucks and the la la la. But when I went in to pee for the first time, I don't know if this is like you, Ashley, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work every time I go to the restroom.
Especially when you go home and you're like sleep deprived.
Yeah.
I think I ended up giving up on the warm water because I didn't have the time to wait for it to warm up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I suffered with cold water at times.
Yeah. So today we're talking about how you take care of your bottom after you have a baby, because it is a whole routine and it can last a few days or a few weeks, depending on how much you tear or how you're healing and all those things. But Ashley had some interesting things to add about like before you go to the hospital, how to try and keep your downtown a little bit safer. So take it away, Ashley.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I only have one kid, right? So, and even being a labor and delivery nurse, you have like experience. I'm used to getting moms up to go to the bathroom that first time, but I want to know too,
I know.
I was about to go through that. And what I learned is that I wanted to prepare my body before, right? So I made sure that I upped my protein for my diet and my pregnancy. I stayed hydrated. I personally did to stay active, like lots of walking and prenatal yoga, which I thought was helpful. One thing I did that, can be recommended, but is a little awkward sometimes for mamas is something called perineal massage. And we would light candles. My husband was my helper.
Oh, you weren't just like giving it a little rub. You were going the whole,
we
whole
did the
9
whole
yards.
thing with some oil. I mean, you could use like olive oil, mineral oil.
Do not use essential oils. No tea tree down there.
No. No, please. And we had essential oils like in the room.
Right.
The ambiance. It's in no way romantic.
Much of like most of pregnancy.
No, but I did feel that it like prepared my body like for that sensation.
Yeah.
Right. Like I felt that sensation and it kind of gave me some expectation of that I'm eventually going to feel. And I honestly think that it helped me not tear as much, which is, I don't know about every mama, but that was my biggest fear, right? The tear. I had a 9-pounder baby, my first baby. She was 9 pounds, 2.5 ounces. And I had like a skid mark in a tiny 1st degree. And I swear it helped.
Yeah. I mean, I had forceps and a 4th degree. So
oh no,
we are coming from different angles in the restroom area on my first. I didn't hear that much on my second.
Yeah, then I can't wait to hear what you have to say then.
So the studies show that perineal massage is like equivocal. Like some show that it's helpful, some show that it doesn't. But the thing is you don't know what people are doing, right? I don't think in the studies they go to Joan, the nurse practitioner who does your perineal massage for you. You know what I'm saying? It's something people would do privately in their home.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think the biggest thing for me was the sensation because the
Yeah.
unknown is, what causes the fear. And I feel like feeling what that sensation was kind of like mentally and like physically prepared me of what to expect for birth. And then also like warm compresses when pushing, right? When crowning. And
And honestly, that's just something I would tell your nurse about because sometimes I feel like a cold compress, kind of just depending on how the tissues feel.
oh,
Sometimes
like
I'll
if
put
if
ice
you
down there while
swollen.
they're, yeah. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'll put a warm compress, but that might be something to put on your birth plan, just saying you're open to it and maybe asking her about while you're pushing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes nurses are so caught up in like, when do I call the doctor? My patient's in the other room.
Yeah. Charting every 15 minutes. Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to mention, hey, do you think a compress would help? How's my downtown looking?
Yeah.
That just reminds them. Yeah.
And one more thing that I feel like really helped me was like pelvic floor exercises, like doing Kegels, like learning to relax, like to
Mhm.
to tighten and relax those muscles just to kind of know what's going on down there.
Yeah, I think most of us are pretty disconnected from what's down there,
Yeah,
especially before we have a baby, because we're just like, it
absolutely.
works. Like, I don't wet my pants. I don't have any issues. Sex is great, stuff like that. And then after you have a baby, you're like, well, that's different. Like,
I know. So a lot of times you hear about doing Kegels after, right?
yeah,
Like to help after, but I feel like doing it a little bit before too is helpful because then you get familiar with those muscles down there that you're going to have to use to push your baby out.
yeah. And yeah. And a lot of Lamaze classes, and including my prenatal class, we talk about relaxing downtown because a lot of times, especially because the blankets are all off, like you're just exposed. A lot of times I'll see moms doing Kegels while they're pushing, and I'm like, oh no, we are relaxed as jello down here.
Yes, opposite.
Yeah. So after you go to the restroom, and a lot of people I think it's only going to be kind of a big deal if they tear, like a full blown tear. But I will say that I had a skid mark on one of these kids I had, and that's a stinger right on its own.
Oh yeah. I don't think it matters. Like even if you didn't have a tear, a baby just came out of your vagina.
Yeah.
It's going to be sensitive.
Yeah. So that first get up to the restroom, it really depends on what hospital you're at and their routines and policies. My first hospital, we got people up at an hour, which is insane. I don't know. What do you do? What have
I've
we seen?
experienced different things where they want you to like go very quickly like that. And then I've been where it's been a little bit closer to that 2 hour mark.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't have a choice. Like if they have an epidural and it's super heavy and they can't get up, then you kind of either have to wait a little bit longer, you know?
Yeah, we had a device called a Sarah Steady. Have you ever worked
Yes.
with that? Where we
Yes.
just would haul them to the restroom. It's basically like a wheelchair for the toilet.
I make every mama wave like a princess.
I know.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can't find a wheelchair and we have to use that to take them to postpartum. It's a good
Yeah.
feeling.
Those are, oh, yeah. I've seen that too. I've seen
Yeah.
that.
So the reason we have this device, because a lot of you are like, why on earth can I not walk to the restroom? Is because if you had an epidural, it may still be working on your legs. But also, if you just had a baby, sometimes those legs are just unsteady, right?
Hmm.
And I cannot emphasize to my listeners how much paperwork is involved if you fall.
Oh, yeah. Too much.
Yeah, not that we want you to fall or we have any concerns about, because I think a lot of my patients are like, "Whoops," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I have so much work to do
Well, I
now."
think even with mamas who don't have an epidural, like I tend to like to move slow anyway. Like, yeah, your legs might feel wobbly, but also you lost volume.
Yeah,
So if and a lot of mamas want to get up and they're like ready to take off running. And I'm like, whoa, 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 hold on.
yeah. I've had
Even
some
though,
get up right away and shower, and I'm
yeah,
like,
oh yeah.
"Okay, I'm not you."
I'm like, we got to move slow because we can't have you fainting on us, you
Yeah.
know?
So a lot of times I'll tuck a chucks, which is like a puppy pad, in between your legs because it is not unusual for that first time. By the way, this is not a super kid friendly episode in case your kids are listening or kids that understand. But it can be a big gush that first time you get up because it's been pooling, right?
Oh, yeah. My favorite thing, like my common practice that I do now every single time, I use that puppy pad too, but I just put the mesh undies on before. So that
Mhm.
way both my hands can be with the patient, and nobody has to worry about that pad coming
Falling.
down. Because
Yeah.
if it falls, whoa.
Housekeeping.
Yeah, it's gonna make a mess, and honestly, like, if you make a mess, don't feel sorry, don't feel bad, you literally can't help it.
No, and the hospital is, I mean, we do it. We have those floors because they take blood. Like that is why the floors are there. Whatever flooring we picked. So, so true. So you get up to the restroom and you are super dirty. Just plan, just plan on not feeling so fresh down there. So we give you like a little sprayer. It's called a perineal wash bottle. There's other companies that sell those, but the hospital is just, it just looks like a fancy bottle of water, basically, that you can
Yeah.
fill up. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of moms buying those. I mean, you can buy it if you want, but I mean, the ones in the hospitals work just great, right?
I know a lot of people love the Freedom Mom, but
Yeah.
I don't know how much better it could be than my, yeah, unless it was a bidet.
If
I
I'm gonna
wish
spend money on something, it's gonna be on those sexy Depends, you know,
that
the
you can
ones
just
that,
chuck.
like, look like lace.
So classy. Yes. So we're going to get you up and I don't know, tell me how it felt because you had a skid mark so that can burn. And a lot of times you're afraid of it burning when you pee. And so you kind of resist peeing, and your labor nurse does not want you to do that. Right.
Yeah, so, like, after I always give my mom as homework, like, as soon as the baby's born, like, "Hey, if you can, chug some water because we will be getting you up." And then when we do get up, when we get to the toilet, we will have you sit down, and if you're afraid, which is something that I did just to personally help myself because I was a little bit worried too, is that I sprayed something called Dermaplast first, like,
Okay.
before going, even if it, like, mentally prepares you to go, I felt like it helped. And honestly, you just gotta get into your mind of, "I just pushed a baby out, like, I'm freaking bad. You know what I mean? I don't know if I can say bad. But you just pushed a baby out, like, peeing, you gotta really just take a deep breath and overcome that fear and remember the most incredible thing that you just did, right? You just birthed a whole baby. You
Yeah.
can you can do anything.
You can pee.
Yes.
Well, the thing
Or
that
maybe
we
you
don't,
can't.
yeah, it's true. The thing that we don't want is for you to resist peeing because if your bladder fills up, it gets in the way of the uterus clamping down and then you bleed, which is what
Yes.
we don't want.
We do not want no hemorrhaging, please.
Yeah. But like she was saying, sometimes it's hard to pee. I've actually noticed it a lot in moms who get lidocaine at delivery because I think it numbs their pee hole.
Oh, you know what? That's very interesting that you say that. I don't think I've ever put 2 and 2 together with that, but yeah, I have noticed that too.
Yeah, because one day I was like, "Why the heck can she not pee?" It's so my manager was like, "Well, did she get lidocaine?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." And she's like, "Well, it numbs everything." And I was like,
I swear you learn something new every
how
day.
did I not think about that the first 15 years I did this? Anyway, so it can happen to anybody, natural, because it stretches out those tissues and your urethra is like, I'm no, we're done. We're on holiday down here. The shop's closed. And so there are some tricks that your labor nurse might try to get you to pee. We'll turn on the
Oh, yeah.
water. We'll talk about waterfalls.
I'll bring the water to the bathroom for you to sip. I've also have you ever used peppermint oil?
Yeah, we started using that and I have no idea.
I had to look it up. I was like, so a lot of the things I learn are from just like different nurses
Mhm.
or like postpartum nurses, and someone mentioned peppermint oil and I was like, oh, okay. I honestly, I have a fanny pack. I carry that in my fanny pack for labor, but now I use it for postpartum, to go pee postpartum as well.
No idea why it works.
I looked it up. It just does.
Just well, I'm guessing it relaxed. So to be very clear, we are not putting that on your pee hole. We just drop a little bit in the
No.
toilet. I've heard some people have them sniff it.
Smell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are no, does
No,
not go
not
by your pee
topical at
hole.
all.
That does not need to be minty fresh.
No. That will most likely make you burn
Yeah.
more.
Oh, ow. I've had patients blow bubbles with a straw. Have you ever tried that?
That's a good one. So someone else taught me this too. I don't know the mechanism of how it works, but maybe it's similar. Sometimes I have my moms put their thumb at the roof of their mouth and then blow air out, but close your mouth, but don't let the air come out. So you're like,
Oh, right. So you're just like
yeah,
blowing, like you're sucking your thumb, but you're blowing on it. Yep. Mhm.
yeah. And that's worked. But blowing bubbles in a cup. Okay, I will add to my
Yeah.
to my
We
list.
all whenever a new nurse comes that has like, we're like, that's fascinating. I'm 100% trying this. This is things labor nurses obsess over because if you don't pee, and you're bleeding and whatever your hospital policy is, we may have to put a catheter in. And as bad as peeing sounds, nobody thinks a catheter sounds very fun.
Especially after having a baby. And that if you had an epidural, if the epidural wore out, like you're definitely going to feel it going in, which is very uncomfy.
Yeah. The good news is I don't know if there's anybody in the hospital better putting catheters in than the OBGYN floor. We are rock star catheter placers.
Yeah. Right. Yes. Fully princess.
Yeah. And at that point, it would just go in, drain it out like a hose, and then it comes right back out. It's not going to stay in like when you had your epidural. But if you're bleeding a lot, we obviously want to keep all the blood that we can inside your body. So a catheter would be an option at that point.
Right. Or if your bladder's like full, it will make your uterus shift over to the left or right, which is no bueno.
No.
That's not good.
No.
So
Yeah.
sometimes mamas need that extra help.
Yeah. And the weird thing about going to the bathroom is your nurse is going to hang out there with you, which for most people before they've had a baby have never had a nurse hang out in the bathroom with them, although it is common in the hospital for nurses to come to the bathroom with patients. So it can be awkward. Yeah. So usually if we can't pee, I'm trying all the things obviously, but I'll step outside. I'm right outside the door, but sometimes people need some privacy. Now, if it's your second baby, you realize that you don't need any privacy to use the restroom. So
yeah.
Yeah. There's always visitors.
I always just say, don't wipe or get up without me.
Yeah.
And now I would shut the door too. Yeah. Just to because it is, I couldn't pee with somebody staring at me.
I 100% could pee at any point in time with someone staring at me.
You could?
Well, now. I mean, kids are always like, even, I have a 10-year-old that's just like, hey, mom, opens the door. And I'm like, we're 10. Like,
yeah.
When is this going to end? Yeah. So, okay. So after you pee, it may burn a little bit when you pee. Some patients say it feels good. I mean, a lot of times there's like a relief because your bladder might be kind of full. Who knows?
Right. And I think getting over the initial, like you did it.
Yeah.
Then it's not so scary anymore.
Yeah. Nobody gets up the second time and is afraid to pee. So maybe that makes other people feel better.
Yeah. And we really hook you up for downstairs after. I say, even if they didn't have a tear, I'm like, look, this peri bottle is awesome to help clean you. We put warm water, we spray down low. And then I just say, if you want to, you can pat, but definitely like no wiping.
No.
Right. And then we usually have like ice packs to put like in the pad. I love to still use the first few times just because the bleeding is a little bit more heavy after, and then it lightens up. I still use the puppy pad, like the big chucks.
Oh, you do?
In addition to the bigger pad in the middle, just because I've experienced, because right now I currently work in LDRP, which is, labor and postpartum. I've had to clean a lot of bed sheets and stuff. Like if the pad is a little bit small and the bleeding misses, right, the chuck, then it gets all over. So I like to use that big pad just for extra comfort, right? Yeah. For you don't have to worry that you're going to be making a mess in bed.
Yeah. And every hospital totally varies in what supplies they give you after you have a baby.
Yes.
Because my current hospital, it's like a Chuck's pad. They only give us 3. I don't know why we only get 3, but it's basically just like it depends. It covers almost the entire underwear, which is really nice.
Oh, that's nice.
Only 3 times.
Okay. Yeah, where I'm at, they have like a bigger one and then like a regular, almost like what you would use for your period.
Yeah.
And then I just, even if I don't have the bigger ones, I'll put like 2 little period ones I just get creative on a chuck, right? Because the chuck will make it, I don't know, just more comfy, that you feel safe that you're not going to leak.
Yeah.
Because it does feel messy,
Yeah, it is going to be more bleeding than you've had during your period. A lot of people are like, well, how bad can it be? Usually you're filling up that pad every single time you go to the restroom. You will have a fairly full pad those first few days, just to give people an idea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It does get better over time.
It does.
Yeah. But then what I'll put is like the ice pack and then the witch hazel pads or the tucks.
Yep.
Right. Create like a little, what do they call it? A padsicle.
Right.
And the witch hazel pads help with like soothing and healing. And then most places will have that dermaplast. I think I've seen, I forget what the generic name is for it. Benzocaine, something, something.
Yeah, everybody uses Dermaplast though. I do know some people who are like, oh, that's too, there's something in it. They're like, it's horrifying. So there are some natural brands out there if you want to look for something with a numbing spray.
Yeah, to help with the burning or the itching, just to help numb it.
One of my hospitals, we had like a steroid foam
Oh,
that we put on the tucks, which I thought was a good idea. But what I'm telling you is there's a lot that goes on down there. You're not just like slapping a pad down and jumping up.
no. I mean, I guess you could, but it won't feel as nice.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we do. And all of this is meant to just try and help you heal faster, less pain. Because I had the 4th degree and I have to tell you that no painkiller was touching it. Like I was taking all the Vica, Perca, Oxy that I could. And that just really made me constipated because the stinging and whatever from that cut, I just needed topical stuff. Like I should have just like iced it for 6 weeks.
Did you have topical stuff or they didn't have that then?
I mean, no, we still had Tux and Dermaplast, like all those things. But I'm just saying that the more you can be like put stuff on that type of a thing rather than taking the pain meds,
Right.
you're gonna
Because,
be better
yeah,
off.
that
Yeah.
postpartum poop is something else too. So that's a
Well,
whole
that's a
topic.
yeah. Maybe we'll have you back on for talking about poop, but we're just handling pee right now. Okay, and then you want to change the pad every time you get up to the restroom. Like I don't know what you did when you had your period when you were 14 because I have a really light flow personally, like on a normal period. But you do want to change that pad every time because you have, even if you haven't torn, you do have tissues that are real fragile right then. And you want to make sure that they're not getting infected mostly.
Right. And you just want to keep yourself clean, right? You don't want any type of infection, anything like that.
Yeah,
And
no.
it makes you feel nicer too, I think, which is super important.
Yeah, because really most people don't get up to shower, which feels amazing, until like 12 hours after birth. I don't know. What do you see? You LDRP, maybe?
Yeah, usually it's like the next morning. Yeah,
Yeah.
like 12 hours after. Oh, and one thing I forget too, which I mean, I offer, but not everybody wants to do it. Maybe it's something you can do at home is like a warm sitz bath.
So do you guys have the sitz baths on your unit? So sitz bath, like it's like a homemade bidet. Basically, it's got a big bottle of water that gravity flows down and then it sprays your perineum.
We have like a little bucket that we can makeshift into to help do that.
Okay.
And then we also have a bathtub, which it's so funny because I think in the beginning of my career, I learned like absolutely no baths. But I mean, a warm sitz bath, if you don't have that, you could, if you're feeling up to it, get into the bath and have like warm water,
Yeah,
to help.
usually they'll say like run the water, kind of leave the drain halfway open so that you're like
Mhm.
constantly recycling the water. You're not just sitting in.
Sitting in dirty water. Yeah.
My doctor told me to do that, and I had a 4th degree. And when I would squat down to get into the bath, I thought I was going to die. So I don't
Yeah.
know
So
why they didn't give me a sitz bath to sit by my toilet.
yeah, the bathtub might have not been for you. Maybe you needed that. It's hard work to get in the toilet. I can't imagine what it would have felt like to get in the tub feeling like that.
Yeah. And I would 100% ask for a bidet for my shower gift if I was having a baby right now. Like someone
Ooh,
to
put it
come
on your
install it. Yep.
registry list.
They have fancy ones like the Tushy, I think it's
Yeah,
called.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Which they sent me one. We've had it for a while, but it's too firm of a spray. You want one that has a very light spray initially, I think, because I think the Tushy is meant for the back hole and
Yeah.
and just you really just want like a light flow of water on that area, and I think it would have felt amazing. So if that's something you guys are concerned about, I think a bidet is handy either way. It would be a good one to install if you're in your own home and can do those kind
Yeah.
of things.
And look, if you don't like it, at least try it, see if it
Yeah.
works. And then if not, then put it away.
Yeah. And while we do warm water in the hospital, a lot of times cold water will feel better when you get home. Or I have patients who prefer the cold water, on day 2 at the facility. So just do whatever feels best. There's no like magical thing. Yeah, that'll fix it. I wish there was a perineum fairy. That's what we should call this episode, the perineum fairy. What do you think about this? I think people feel super awkward about all that.
About the whole process or
like us going to the bathroom, showing them how to put the things on. And I don't want that for my patient at all. Like that's such an important part of my job to make sure you can take care of yourself.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think I've also seen a lot of mamas like worried, like, oh, are you gonna be I'm like, oh, don't worry, girl, we're gonna hook you up, right? We're gonna give you all these things, all those things to help you heal down there. But yeah, it can be awkward just because I mean you're waddling, your belly, like once you have your baby, your belly does not go completely away,
Oh,
right? So
it's so
sometimes
sad.
you can't see.
Yeah, you can't because you're gonna be at like when you that first visit to the restroom, you're probably 6 months pregnant. And
Yeah.
you're like that's what you're gonna look like.
Yeah. I created like a little basket. So when I went into the bathroom at home, I literally had everything right there.
Yes.
I didn't care if my family or friends or whoever came. I'm like, this is my bathroom.
Yeah.
Looks a little funny, got all the pads and stuff, but it's just easy. So you don't have to like go collect everything. It just makes it easier.
Yeah. Two things I just thought of. First, don't wear your favorite pair of socks right after you have your baby
No.
because they could get real bloody. And then you'll be like, oh, my favorite pair of socks. And I'm
Or
like, do you
even when
want me
you're
to throw them
pushing.
away?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or your cute blanket.
Yeah.
Or your cute blanket.
I'm like, anything you really like needs to be waist level up.
Yes.
And then the other thing is, I had a hard time controlling my pee on my first baby who had the big tear. Like I would get up and I would pee a little bit. I couldn't hold my pee when I needed to use the restroom. I needed to go right then. And that did get better. Still not perfect, but it did get better. So a lot of moms, that pad was not full of blood. There were other things on it and it's meant to be that. All those things are stretched out. Don't freak out
Yeah.
that that's your new life.
Things gotta like just get adjusted.
Yeah. Anyway, anything else to add?
Gosh, not that I can think of.
Yeah, it's just a thing and it doesn't last that long. You're not going to be putting those pads on. How long? My flows usually lasted 2, probably 3 weeks on the third baby. So again, I'm not a big bleeder in general. What do you think? Talking to friends.
You know what? I honestly, like for myself, you mean?
Yeah.
Like how long it was for me?
Yeah.
I can't even remember how long, but I know it can be up to, I feel like it was a little bit longer for me. Maybe like 4 weeks
Yeah.
ish.
Yeah. That's probably closer
Yeah.
to the average. And then you're probably wearing panel
Oh yeah,
liners for a
just
little
out of
bit.
fear, out of concern. I'm not wanting that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
especially because I had like cute like postpartum pajamas and stuff like that. I was like, no way, I'm not getting this messy. Just for extra coverage.
yeah. And then you'll just go on and be a normal peeing human being that doesn't need a whole
Yep.
rigmarole when they go to the
I think if
restroom.
I could add just like one thing, it would be like sometimes mamas are in labor for a long time and they're getting all this fluid, right? Sometimes those tissues down low can become very swollen. Like you wouldn't even recognize
Yeah.
it. It's just to alternate, right? Like maybe every time you go to the bathroom, put that ice pack on and off, right? Alternate each time you go to the bathroom to help with that swelling.
You mean when they're in labor or after?
No, after.
Yeah.
If you notice or if your nurse notices or mentions anything about being swollen, yeah, you can put an ice pack too while you're in labor as well to help that swelling.
Yeah. I ice pack constantly for the first 48 hours. I just tell them if it's not cold, just put a new one on. And you have to remember hospitals are really weird about their ice packs. I don't know. It sounds like you might have
Yeah.
a pre-made one
Yeah.
at your hospital. Oh no. Oh no, not at my hospital. We either put it in a newborn diaper
I've seen that. Yeah.
and line which is also kind of nice because then if you
Yeah.
bleed the diaper and the ice, like it's all good down with a diaper. Or we'll put it in a glove and then cover it with like gauze
Yeah.
or something like that. And there are times that I really like that because the gloves can get into your
Oh,
lady
yeah,
parts
just kinda
a little bit. Like if you have a specific
Yeah.
hematoma or something like a bruise, I'll stick that glove finger
needs
right
to be.
where
That's
it can
kinda
help
cool,
out. 'Cause-
yeah.
yeah.
Where I'm at, they don't want that. They want you to use the specific ice pack,
Yeah.
which I've learned tricks with our ice pack is like, oh, if you sprinkle a little water on your hospital ice pack, it makes it more cold.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I've heard of the diaper, not the glove.
Well, we only give you 3 pads too. I'm just kidding. Anyway, labor nurses are crafty. So if there's anything that you're like feeling down there, whatever, ask the questions. Don't be embarrassed. Like this is our thing. Obviously, we're here on a podcast talking about peeing. Like we have very few barriers to bodily functions.
Yep. There's no such thing as a stupid question.
No. And if it can make you more comfortable, we don't even care.
No, you got to be prepared for taking care of yourself at home, right? So I know you're going to get all this information on the baby, but you matter too. So you got to like pay attention and learn of how you can care for yourself down there.
Yeah, you actually matter more because if the mom is gone, then the baby's screwed. Yep. All right. Where can people find you?
You can find, I have a website, but I don't do much with it yet. I'm still, working on it. My website is projectmamabear.com. You can follow me on TikTok at Project Mama Bear.
That's where I found you.
On the Clock app. And then if anyone, what I want to do is just help moms prepare for birth, which is what I've been doing, just talking to them one-on-one. So if anyone has any questions, it's not medical advice, but here to help. You can email me at projectmamabear.birth@gmail.com.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for coming on, Ashley.
Thank you, Hillary. It's so nice to meet you.
I know it sounds sort of crazy to do a full episode just on peeing, but I think it is something that really catches people off guard, and I am here to not let that happen. So if you have had a baby and there was something that caught you off guard, I would love to know about it. Come tell me over on the Instagram. Or if this was an eye-opener, come tell me on the Instagram. I just think that would be fun to know. Hopefully this gave you some good information and you guys will check Ashley out on social media. Don't miss my upcoming episodes. Next week, we are talking about teaching reading with your kidlets. And even if you're pregnant, there are some good nuggets in that episode. And then the week after that, I'm having another TikTok nurse to come on where we are talking about what the hospital does to prepare in case something bad happens to you. I know it sounds kind of scary, but sometimes when you learn what we're doing to help prevent stuff like this, it can really help. So stay tuned. Thanks so much for joining us on today's episode. The Pulling Curls podcast grows when you share us on social media or leave a review. If you do, please tag us so that we can share and send you a virtual hug, which frankly is my favorite kind of hugging. Until next time, we hope you have a tangle-free day.